Ever wonder how royalty travels? Prince Salman's got a secret up his sleeve that'll blow your mind. His regular private jet. It's anything but regular. This thing transforms faster than a Transformer toy, going from basic luxury to insane opulence in seconds. We're talking about a flying mansion that would make even the richest celebs green with envy. And that's just the tip of the iceberg, the regular private jet that ain't so regular. So you think you've seen fancy private jets before? Prince Salman's got something that'll make your jaw drop. At first glance, his jet looks like any other luxury plane. But don't let that fool you. This thing's got a secret that's crazier than anything you've ever seen. We're talking about a flying palace that puts other billionaires' rides to shame. It's like one of those Transformer toys, but way cooler. The jet's got rooms that change faster than you can blink. One minute it's a boring old meeting room, next it's a 5-star restaurant, and that's just the start. But here's the kicker. It's all kept under wraps. The prince doesn't want anyone knowing about this flying mansion. Why is he so secretive? 'Cause this jet ain't just luxurious, it's over-the-top crazy. We're talking about features that would make even the richest celebrities green with envy. And get this, the transformation happens mid-flight. Talk about a mile-high surprise. Imagine being on a normal-looking plane one minute, and then suddenly you're in a palace in the sky. It's like something out of a sci-fi movie, but it's real. The jet's got everything you could dream of, and then some. There's a cinema room with a screen bigger than most people's TVs at home. The seats? They're not just comfy, they're like clouds you can sit on. And the sound system? It's better than most movie theaters. But that's nothing compared to the dining area. It's not just a place to eat, it's a full-on gourmet restaurant at 40,000 feet. The tables are made of rare wood, and the plates? They're probably worth more than your car. The chefs on board could easily work in any Michelin star restaurant. And don't even get me started on the bedrooms. The prince's suite is bigger than most apartments. The bed's got sheets with a thread count higher than most people's salaries. There's a walk-in closet that could fit a small army's worth of clothes. And the bathroom? It's like a spa in the sky. But the craziest part? All this luxury is hidden behind normal-looking walls and doors. From the outside, you'd never know what's inside. It's like the prince's own personal Narnia, but instead of a magic wardrobe, it's a magic plane. The tech on this jet is next level too. There's high-speed internet that works anywhere in the world, a security system that would make Fort Knox jealous, and gadgets that probably haven't even been invented for the public yet. Gold toilets and thrones in the sky. You thought gold toilets were just for land? Think again. Prince Salman's jet's got bathrooms that'd make King Midas jealous. We're talking solid gold fixtures, diamond-studded mirrors, and marble everything. The sinks? Pure gold. The faucets? Yep, gold too. Even the toilet paper holder is made of the precious metal. It's like someone took Fort Knox and turned it into a bathroom. But that's nothing compared to the throne room. Yeah, you heard that right. A throne room in a plane. This ain't your average airplane seat. It's a legit royal throne, 30,000 feet in the air. The chair itself is covered in gold leaf and studded with precious gems. The armrests, they're shaped like lion heads with ruby eyes. It's the kind of seat that makes you feel like you're ruling the world, even when you're just cruising over it. The throne's got all sorts of high-tech gadgets built in. It's like a command center fit for a king. There's a control panel in the armrest that can do everything from adjusting the room's temperature to ordering a meal from the onboard chef. The seat's got a massage function that'd put your local spa to shame. And get this, there's a holographic display that pops up in front of the throne, showing the prince everything from flight data to global news. And the room around the throne, it's like something out of a sci-fi movie. One minute it's a meeting room with a big table and chairs for the prince's advisors. Then, with just a push of a button, the whole thing transforms. The table sinks into the floor, the chairs disappear into the walls, and suddenly you're standing in a mini cinema. The screen's so big and clear, you'd think you were in an IMAX theater, not a plane. But that's not all. The throne room's got a secret door that leads to a private bedroom. And when I say bedroom, I mean a suite that'd make the penthouse at the Ritz look like a motel room. The bed's big enough for 10 people with sheets that probably cost more than your house. There's a walk-in closet that's bigger than most New York apartments, and a bathroom with a tub that's basically a small swimming pool. Prince Salman's taking traveling in style to a whole new level with this flying palace. It's not just a way to get from point A to point B, it's a statement. A big, gold-plated, diamond-encrusted statement that says, "I'm royalty and don't you forget it." When you're sitting on a golden throne, zooming through the clouds in a plane that's fancier than most palaces, you're not just traveling, you're ruling the skies. The secret convoy more than meets the eye. So you think the jet's impressive? Wait till you hear about the convoy. Prince Salman's ground game makes his airborne luxury look like economy class. We're not talking about a few fancy cars here and there. This is a full-on invasion of luxury vehicles that'd make even the biggest car collectors jealous. Picture this. Over 100 vehicles rolling into town, and that's just for one guy. It's like a small army, but instead of tanks, they've got Rolls Royces and Bentleys. The prince's convoy is bigger than most people's entire neighborhoods. And get this, each car's worth more than most folks make in a lifetime. But here's the crazy part. You won't even know they're there. These cars are stealth mode experts. They're like ninjas on wheels, slipping into town without anyone noticing. The convoy arrives days before the prince, setting everything up in secret. It's like they're invisible, moving around the city like ghosts. The convoy's got everything you could imagine, and then some. We're talking bulletproof limos that could probably survive a nuclear blast. But that's nothing compared to the mobile hospitals. Yeah, you heard that right. Hospitals on wheels. These ain't just ambulances. They're full-on emergency rooms that can do 70 on the highway. And get this. Each car's got a specific job. There's one just for the prince's clothes. Another one's a rolling pharmacy. There's even a car just for the prince's favorite snacks. 'Cause when you're royalty, you can't risk running out of your favorite chips, right? But the craziest part? The security. These cars are like fortresses on wheels. They've got armor that'd make a tank look weak. The windows are so thick they could probably stop a rocket. And the tech inside? It's like something out of a spy movie. They've got jammers that can block cell phones for miles around, and sensors that can detect a threat before it even happens. The convoy's even got its own gas station and mechanic shop, because when you're traveling with this many cars, you can't just pull into any old gas station. They bring their own fuel, their own spare parts, even their own mechanics. It's like a whole city on wheels, moving in secret just for Prince Salman. And don't even get me started on the communication system. These cars are more connected than the internet. They've got satellites, secure radio channels, even their own cell network. The prince could probably run his whole country from the back seat of one of these cars. Armored limos, fortresses on wheels. Remember those normal-looking SUVs we talked about? Well, some of them are anything but normal. In fact, Prince Salman's got rides that could make James Bond jealous. What if I told you there's a car out there that can outrun a sports car while surviving a war zone? These ain't your average limos. Prince Salman's rides are basically tanks disguised as luxury cars. We're talking bulletproof everything. Windows, tires, even the fuel tank. These things could probably take a direct hit from a rocket and keep on rolling. The doors on these beasts are so heavy, they need special motors just to open and close them. It's like trying to swing open a bank vault every time you want to get out. But don't think all this armor makes them slow. Nah, these limos can outrun most sports cars. They've got engines that could power a small airplane, all crammed under the hood. When the prince needs to make a quick exit, these things can go from 0 to 60 faster than you can say, royal escape. Now, the outside's all business, but the inside, it's like a 5-star hotel room on wheels. We're talking leather seats softer than a baby's bottom, minibars stocked with the fanciest drinks you can imagine, and massage chairs that'll make you forget you're even in a car. The prince could probably live in one of these things for weeks and never get bored. And the tech? It's like something straight out of a spy movie. These limos got jamming devices that can shut down any unauthorized electronics for miles. They've got smoke screens that can turn the whole street into a fog bank in seconds. There's even a system that can detect chemical weapons and seal the car up tighter than a submarine. But that's nothing compared to the prince's main ride. This thing's got its own air supply. Yeah, you heard that right. It could drive through a war zone or the bottom of the ocean, and everyone inside would be fine. The air inside is cleaner than what you'd find on top of a mountain. With rides like these, Prince Salman's ready for anything while traveling in style. These limos are like rolling fortresses, keeping him safe from everything from assassins to bad hair days. And the best part? From the outside, you'd never know. You could be sitting next to one in traffic, thinking it's just another fancy car, while inside it's like a whole other world. Mobile hospitals, healthcare on the move. But those super limos ain't the only incognito vehicles in Prince Salman's fleet. What if I told you he's got hospitals that can do highway speeds? Yeah, you heard that right. Full-on emergency rooms disguised as regular trucks, ready to save lives while zooming past you on the freeway. These ain't just fancy ambulances. We're talking about mobile hospitals that could put some real hospitals to shame. Prince Salman's got a whole fleet of these rolling ERs, and they're packed with more medical gear than you can imagine. X-ray machines, operating tables, even stuff for major surgeries. It's all there, ready to go at a moment's notice. And the doctors and nurses, only the best money can buy. These medical pros are on call 24/7, ready to jump into action faster than you can say royal emergency. They're trained to work in a moving vehicle, so they can start treating the prince even if the hospital truck's doing 70 on the highway. But here's the crazy part. You'd never know these things were hospitals. They're designed to blend in with regular traffic. From the outside, they look like normal delivery trucks or big RVs. You could be driving next to one and have no clue you're right beside a high-tech medical center on wheels. These mobile hospitals are packed with so much tech, they could probably perform brain surgery while dodging traffic. They've got stuff that most regular hospitals would kill for. Imagine the fanciest medical equipment you've ever seen, then make it smaller and tougher so it can work in a moving truck. That's what Prince Salman's rolling with. And it ain't just about the gear. These hospital trucks have their own power systems, satellite links for telemedicine, and air filtration that'd make a clean room jealous. They can set up a sterile operating environment anywhere, anytime. Got a medical emergency in the middle of the desert? No problem. Need a quick checkup while stuck in city traffic? They've got you covered. With these things rolling around, Prince Salman's got better healthcare on the road than most people do at home. He's basically got a whole hospital network that follows him wherever he goes. It's like having a personal Mayo Clinic that can keep up with your motorcade. But the prince ain't the only one who benefits. His entire entourage gets access to this top-notch medical care. Even the staff looking after the prince can get treated if they need it. It's like having a whole city's worth of healthcare, all packed into a few trucks. The advanced team, invisible preparations. You might think you'd notice if a Saudi prince was coming to town, right? Wrong. Prince Salman's got a team so stealthy, they could probably organize a royal banquet in your living room while you're asleep. And that's just the start of what they do. These guys are like the Navy SEALs of travel planning. Before Prince Salman even thinks about packing his golden toothbrush, his advanced team's already on the move. We're talking about a small army of people, security experts, chefs, tech gurus, you name it. They slip into town like ninjas, setting everything up without anyone noticing. The advanced team's got more tricks than a magician's convention. They scout out every single place the prince might visit, checking for any possible issues. And when I say every place, I mean every place. They'll even check out the bathrooms at restaurants he might eat at. Talk about thorough, right? But that's nothing compared to what else they do. These guys are so careful they even taste test the prince's favorite foods at local restaurants. Imagine being the guy whose job it is to eat fancy food all day, just to make sure it's good enough for the prince. Not a bad gig if you can get it, huh? And get this, they bring their own water, not just bottles but whole purification systems. They ain't taking any chances with the local H2O. They set up these massive filtration systems that could probably turn swamp water into something fancier than what you'd find in a bottle of Evian. But the real crazy stuff, that's the tech they bring. These guys set up secure communication networks that'd make the CIA jealous. They sweep for bugs like they're pest control on steroids. By the time they're done, the whole area's basically turned into a fortress. Fort Knox, more like Fort Salman. They've got gadgets that can detect a threat from miles away. Cameras so small you could hide them in a grain of sand. And don't even get me started on the bodyguards. These guys could probably take down an army with just their pinky fingers. The advanced team's so good at what they do, they could probably set up a 5-star hotel in your backyard without you even noticing. They work round the clock, making sure everything's perfect for when the prince arrives. And I mean everything. From the temperature of his room to the softness of his toilet paper, nothing's left to chance. By the time Prince Salman shows up, everything's perfect. The security's tighter than a drum, the food's been tested more times than a new vaccine, and the whole place is so clean you could eat off the sidewalk. And the best part? No one's the wiser. The prince rolls into town like it's just another day, while behind the scenes, there's been more planning than for a moon landing. The decoy game, misdirection at its finest. Remember that guy who looked like Prince Salman you saw at the coffee shop? Plot twist, it might have actually been him. But here's the kicker. The real Prince Salman might have been the one serving your latte. Welcome to the ultimate royal shell game, where nothing is as it seems and everyone's a potential prince. Prince Salman's got a whole squad of lookalikes, and these guys ain't just random dudes in fancy robes. They're trained professionals who can mimic the prince down to the tiniest detail. We're talking about copying his walk, his talk, even the way he sips his tea. It's like they've got a degree in being Prince Salman. These decoys pop up all over the place, keeping everyone on their toes. One minute you might see Prince Salman checking out a museum. The next, he's grabbing a bite at a fancy restaurant across town. And a few minutes later, he's boarding a private jet at the airport. How's he doing it all at once? He ain't. It's all part of the grand illusion. But it ain't just about people. The prince's team goes all out with the deception game. They've got decoy cars that look exactly like the ones the prince uses. These rides cruise around town, making everyone think the prince is inside. But guess what? He's probably chilling in some beat-up old van that no one would look twice at. And the planes? Same deal. They'll have multiple private jets all prepped and ready to go. Some might even take off and land in different cities just to throw people off the scent. It's like a high-stakes game of guess which plane the prince is on. And trust me, you ain't gonna win. The hotel game is just as crazy. The prince's team will book out entire floors of multiple hotels. They'll have staff running around, setting things up like the prince is about to arrive any minute. But in reality, he might be staying at some small boutique hotel that no one's even thought to check. Now, here's where it gets really wild. Sometimes the prince himself gets in on the action. He'll dress up as one of his own bodyguards or advisors. Imagine being the guy who pushes past some random security dude, only to find out later it was actually the prince himself. Talk about a royal facepalm moment. The flying feast, gourmet dining at 40,000 feet. While we're down here playing Spot the Prince, Salman's probably cruising at 40,000 feet, enjoying a meal that'd make Gordon Ramsay jealous. You think your local fancy restaurant is impressive? Wait till you hear about the 5-star dining experience happening in the clouds. Prince Salman's jet ain't just a way to get from A to B, it's a flying Michelin star restaurant. We're talking about a full kitchen staff crammed into that plane, and these ain't your average airline cooks. Nah, these are world-renowned chefs who could probably make a gourmet meal out of airplane peanuts if they had to. But they don't have to, because this kitchen's stocked better than most restaurants on the ground. The menu changes faster than the jet's rooms. One minute it's French cuisine that'd make a Parisian chef cry tears of joy. Next it's Japanese food so authentic you'd think you'd landed in Tokyo. Now get this, they don't just cook on board, they actually grow some of the ingredients too. Yeah, you heard that right. The plane's got a mini greenhouse for fresh herbs and veggies. It's like a flying farm up there. While you're stuck with wilted airplane salad, Prince Salman's munching on lettuce that was probably picked 5 minutes ago. But the food's just the start. The dining room itself is something else. We're talking crystal chandeliers hanging from the ceiling. The turbulence could be tossing everyone around, but those chandeliers are gonna keep sparkling like stars. And the cutlery, gold-plated of course, 'cause eating with regular silverware is for peasants, right? They've even got a wine cellar on board. And we're not talking about cheap stuff either. This collection would make most wine shops look like they're stocking boxed wine. Each bottle's probably worth more than your car. And they've got a sommelier on hand to make sure the prince is sipping the perfect vintage at 40,000 feet. The chefs up there ain't just cooking, they're putting on a show. They've got a special area where the prince and his guests can watch them work their magic. It's like having a front row seat at a cooking competition, except all the food ends up on your plate. And don't even get me started on the desserts. They've got a pastry chef who could probably build a scale model of the plane out of chocolate if the prince asked. We're talking about sweets so fancy you'd feel bad about eating them, but not too bad because they're delicious. With meals like these, Prince Salman probably looks forward to long flights. While the rest of us are trying to decide between chicken or pasta, he's choosing between lobster flown in from Maine or Wagyu beef that was probably massaged daily in Japan. It's enough to make you want to stow away on his jet just for a taste. The invisible entourage, an army in plain sight. Alright, you think Prince Salman's just strolling around solo? Think again. This guy's got a whole army with him, but you'd never even know it. He's surrounded by people 24/7, but they're so good at blending in, you'd probably walk right past them without a second glance. We're talking ex-Special Forces dudes who look like they just stepped out of a Gap commercial. These guys ain't rocking fancy suits or earpieces. Nah, they're in jeans and t-shirts, looking like your average Joe. You could be standing next to one in line for coffee and have no clue you're rubbing elbows with a human weapon. But don't let their casual looks fool you. These guys are ready for anything. They're packing more heat than a Texas barbecue, all hidden away where you can't see it. Their clothes, bulletproof. Their watches, probably got more tech in them than your smartphone. And gadgets? James Bond would be jealous of the stuff these guys are carrying. It ain't just about the muscle though. Prince Salman's got a whole government's worth of people traveling with him, all in disguise. There are assistants who look like they're just out for a stroll, but they're really coordinating his entire schedule. Advisors who could pass for tourists are actually helping him make million-dollar decisions on the fly. And the tech experts, they're something else. These guys could probably hack into Fort Knox using nothing but a toaster, and you'd think they were just some nerds on vacation. They keep Salman connected and secure no matter where he is in the world. The craziest part? All these people work together like a well-oiled machine, but to the outside world, they look like a bunch of strangers who just happen to be in the same place. It's like a flash mob, but instead of dancing, they're running a country. So next time you're out and about, take a look around. That group of people who don't seem to be together, they might just be Prince Salman's invisible entourage. The guy buying a hot dog? Could be a world-class chef making sure the prince's food is safe. The woman taking pictures? Probably scanning for threats. It's like Prince Salman's got his own little country traveling with him, all hidden in plain sight. He's got more security than Fort Knox, more brainpower than Silicon Valley, and more talent than Hollywood, all wrapped up in a package that looks like everyday people just going about their business. So yeah, Prince Salman's never alone, even when it looks like he is. He's got an army of super skilled people around him at all times. It's just that you'd never know it. And that's exactly how they want it. Tech marvels, a mobile command center. You might think Prince Salman's got some fancy tech, but that's nothing compared to his real setup. This guy's rolling with gear that's straight out of Star Trek. We're talking about a mobile command center that'd make NASA jealous. First off, Prince Salman's got satellites. Not just any satellites, but ones that can beam super secure internet anywhere in the world. He could be chilling in the middle of the Sahara and still be streaming 4K cat videos. That's some next level connectivity right there. But that's just the start. His convoy's packing some serious electronic muscle. They've got jammers that can shut down any unauthorized signal for miles. Cell phones, radios, even TV signals, all gone with the flip of a switch. It's like an electronic blackout on wheels. And get this, the prince has got drones, but these ain't your average flying cameras. Nah, these bad boys can create a mobile no-fly zone. It's like having your own personal air force buzzing around, keeping the skies clear wherever you go. Now let's talk about the prince's main ride. This thing ain't just a car, it's a rolling supercomputer. It can hack into local networks faster than you can say royal Wi-Fi. Need to check out the security cams at your next stop? No problem. Want a peek at the local traffic system? Easy peasy. This car's got more processing power than most tech companies. But here's the real kicker. All this tech is hidden. You could be standing right next to the prince's convoy and have no clue about the digital powerhouse inside. It's all tucked away behind normal-looking panels and dashboards. Talk about hiding in plain sight. With all this gear, Prince Salman's always connected and always in control, no matter where he is. He's got more tech at his fingertips than most countries have in their entire cybersecurity departments. It's like he's got his own mobile version of the Pentagon, but way fancier. And you know what's crazy? This is probably just the stuff we know about. Who knows what other high-tech secrets the prince has got hidden away in his travel setup. For all we know, he could have a teleporter tucked away in the trunk. The luggage saga, moving a palace. Prince Salman's digital world is impressive, but it's his physical world that'll really blow your mind. Ever wondered what it takes to move a palace? 'Cause that's exactly what the Saudi prince does every time he travels. We're talking hundreds of bags, and that's just the start of this wild luggage saga. You think you've got luggage problems? Prince Salman's baggage situation would make your vacation packing look like child's play. This ain't about throwing a few shirts in a suitcase. Nah, we're talking about moving an entire palace every time the prince decides to take a trip. The prince travels with hundreds of bags. Yeah, you heard that right. Hundreds. And each one of these bags has its own security tag and GPS tracker. It's like each suitcase has its own bodyguard and personal navigator. The prince always knows where his stuff is, down to the last sock. But that's nothing compared to what's inside these bags. Sure, there's clothes, but that's just the boring stuff. The prince brings furniture with him, artwork too. He's even got his own bed packed up in there. It's like he's taking his whole bedroom on the road. The prince's luggage team is something else. These guys ain't just throwing bags on a cart. They're like luggage ninjas, moving all this stuff around without anyone noticing. They've got a whole system for packing and unpacking. It's all done in a specific order, like some kind of luxury Tetris game. And get this, some of the bags are empty. Yeah, you read that right. Empty bags, just there to throw people off. It's all part of the prince's security setup. You never know which bag has the $1 million watch and which one's just full of air. With all this baggage, you'd think Prince Salman would just stay home. But nah, he's out there traveling the world, dragging a small country's worth of stuff with him. It's like he's got separation anxiety from his palace, so he just brings the whole thing along. The prince's luggage ain't just heavy, it's high-tech too. Each bag's got its own tracking system, more advanced than what most courier companies use. The prince could probably tell you exactly where his favorite pair of socks is at any given moment, even if it's halfway around the world. And the packing process, it's like a military operation. There's a whole team of people whose job is just to make sure everything's in the right place. They've got diagrams, checklists, the whole 9 yards. It's probably more organized than most people's entire lives. The hotel takeover, redesigning luxury. You think Prince Salman's jet is fancy? Wait till you see what he does to hotels. This guy doesn't just book a room, he takes over the whole place. When Salman checks in, the hotel gets a royal makeover that'd make your home renovations look like a kid's art project. We're talking about gutting entire floors. Yeah, you heard that right. They rip out everything and start from scratch. The prince brings his own furniture, his own art, even his own doorknobs. It's like he's allergic to anything that isn't his. The hotel probably ends up nicer than it was before he got there. But that's nothing compared to the prince's suite. It ain't just a room, it's a whole wing of the hotel. They turn it into a mini palace faster than you can say room service. They install bulletproof windows that could probably stop a tank. The walls, reinforced like a bunker. And don't even get me started on the air filtration system. It's so fancy, the prince is probably breathing cleaner air than astronauts. Now, you'd think the hotel staff would be excited to serve royalty, right? Wrong. Prince Salman brings his own people. The regular hotel workers, they're sent home, probably told to take a nice long vacation while the prince is in town. The entire staff gets replaced faster than you can change a light bulb. The kitchen gets a total overhaul too. They bring in new appliances that look like they're from the future. The chefs, world-class culinary experts who could probably make a 5-star meal out of a gas station hot dog. By the time they're done, that hotel kitchen's fancier than most restaurants. When Prince Salman's team is finished, the hotel doesn't even look like itself anymore. It's like the prince never left his palace at all. Every detail is perfect, from the sheets on the bed to the paintings on the walls. It's all designed to make Salman feel right at home, even when he's thousands of miles away. The getaway plan, ready for anything. Speaking of whole different worlds, Prince Salman's travel plans make James Bond look like an amateur. You think those hotel makeovers are impressive? Wait till you hear about his escape routes. Let's just say, if trouble comes knocking, Salman's already out the secret tunnel. Prince Salman's always got an escape plan, no matter where he is. His team plans out multiple exit strategies for every single place he visits. We're talking secret tunnels, hidden vehicles, even speedboats on standby. It's like they're ready for a movie-style getaway at any moment. But that's nothing compared to the safe houses. They've got these places set up all over, each one ready to go faster than you can say royal emergency. These ain't just some rundown hideouts either. They're probably nicer than most people's actual homes. And it ain't just about getting the prince out. They've got plans for his whole crew too. Every single person in his entourage knows exactly what to do if things go south. It's like they've all got their own personal escape room plan, but way more high stakes. You know how some companies do fire drills? Well, Salman's team does escape drills. They practice these getaways like it's an Olympic sport. They've probably got better escape times than most people's morning commutes. But here's the crazy part. All this planning happens without anyone noticing. They could set up a whole escape network in your neighborhood and you'd never even know it. That empty house down the street could be one of Salman's safe houses. That new tunnel being built might just lead to a secret underground bunker. With all these plans, Prince Salman's probably safer on the road than he is at home. He's got more escape routes than a maze has dead ends. It's like he's always got one foot out the door, ready to vanish at a moment's notice. The price tag, the cost of royal travel. Ever wondered how much it costs to travel like a Saudi prince? Prince Salman's travel budget is so insane, it makes billionaires look like they're living on a shoestring. We're talking millions dropped on a single trip like it's pocket change. Sometimes it even hits billions. Yeah, you heard that right. Billions with a B. Let's start with his jet. That flying palace costs more than most people will earn in 10 lifetimes. It's decked out with gold everything and probably has toilets that cost more than your house. But that's nothing compared to his convoy. Each car in that fleet is worth more than a mansion in Beverly Hills, and he's got dozens of them. But it ain't just about the fancy rides. The staff, security, and tech all add up faster than you can say royal expenses. Prince Salman's got an army of people working for him 24/7, and you can bet they ain't working for minimum wage. The security alone probably costs more than some countries' entire military budgets. You think your last vacation was expensive? Prince Salman once dropped $100 million on a week-long trip. And get this, that was considered a cheap one for him. Most of us are stressing over baggage fees, while he's out here spending more on room service than we make in a year. Some people say it's too much. They think he should tone it down a bit. But for a prince, this is just the cost of doing business. When you're royalty, you can't exactly fly economy and stay at the Holiday Inn. Everything's gotta be top-notch, even if it costs a fortune. With a travel budget like this, Prince Salman could probably buy his own country to visit. He spends more on a single trip than most cities spend on their yearly budgets. It's like he's got a black card with no limit, and he's not afraid to use it. But here's the crazy part. All this spending is just a drop in the bucket for him. When you're sitting on billions, spending millions on travel is like us buying a cup of coffee. It's pocket change for a guy who could probably buy the airline if he wanted to.